Hello and welcome to Only for Teens, a program that is dedicated only and exclusively for teens. Today we'll be talking about the media's impact on adolescents. We have in the program Dr. Isabel Basso, a psychologist and host of the program Doctora Isabel, transmitted on Radio Cadena Univision Mondays through Fridays at 9 a.m. Welcome to Only for Teens, Dr. Isabel. Thank you for being here.
A pleasure to be here, Matthew.
I'd like to begin with how the media has emotionally, mentally, and psychologically impacted teens, Dr. Isabel.
Well, Matthew, the thing is that you are focusing in the program that you have with adolescents.
Right.
But the media has had an impact on children since they start watching TV or whatever else they do with all the technology we have. Mm-hmm. And it is a cumulative process. A child may have seen, an adolescent may have seen a program when he was 4 or 5 on television that had an impact with fear issues, and that is carried on to adolescence.
Okay.
So,
like baggage, sort of?
Like many, if you have programs that are very angry or a lot of violence or that deals with extraterrestrial or other kinds of things that a child of 4 may see it as, oh my God, it's a monster, that can carry on to adolescent and create in that adolescent a certain amount of insecurity in life. Of course, if also that child has had a dysfunctional life where violence was prevalent, so then there is a confirmation that what the TV is showing and what I have lived is a reality. And when an adolescent has to deal with a reality like that, it creates in them, and if you ask me what does that media what kind of impact, is insecurity and an issue of trust. I don't trust the world.
So whatever the child sees, that sort of shapes their personality as they get older. It accumulates.
Of course, it's a cumulative factor since it has to do with genetics. It has to do with the way they live, and it has to do, unfortunately or fortunately, we have media. It could be TV, it could be movies, it could be going in the internet. I have had cases of children, Matthew, that are exposed at a very young age, 7, with pornography. I'll give you an example. And it is a very difficult thing to talk to you that you are an adolescent. Children are not prepared mentally, brain-wise, to deal with images like that. I have parents that call me and says, what am I going to do? My 7-year-old thinks that is good. I can't seem to change it. So if you ask me the impact that media has on children and in adolescents, it's incredible. It's cumulative. That 7-year-old, they have to work with him in order not to recuperate their innocence. It's gone. But to see that that's not all life has to offer. The impact of technology in an adolescent that watches something that has to do with a theme that I just mentioned, pornography, can create a doubt in that child of what is my sexual identity, when it may have been just that you have been exposed too soon to something you're not ready to see. So the importance of knowing the impact of technology, media, and TV on adolescent, parents need to know.
So, going back to specifically teenagers, why is the impact so profound? Because of how early it started as children watching TV, violence?
Well, it all depends what kind of experiences they have had, again. But let's concentrate on teenagers. Teenagers, when they get to the stage of your age and a little younger than you, 12, they start trying to find out things. My identity. Before, it was the identity that was combined with the parents. Be it may have been a great experience, it may have been a functional family. Even if you have that, as a teenager, you start questioning, Why do I have to go to church? I don't like the church my parents go to. I don't believe what my parents are saying politically. All those things start coming up.
You try to see who you are.
Exactly. Is your
Separate
identity as a human being, as a sexual being, as a person that wants to see, well, who am I? What am I going to do? What do I want to do in life? All those questions are there. And if the technology starts pushing stuff, that child needs to have pretty good values in order to go through all of that and come out good.
Would you say that violence and sexuality are the main ways teens are affected emotionally and psychologically through the media, or there are other ways?
Well, if you mention violence, not just the violence that it has to do with guns and fights and all of that, but if you're talking about the verbal violence that occurs, for instance, in bullying, and the fact that there have been an enormous number of young people, of teenagers, that have committed suicide, you know that there is an impact, a tremendous impact. And that's when you have Facebook, which is one of them. Now it's Facebook. It used to be MySpace, right? And when they receive messages that are very negative, very cruel, very cyberbullying, that child believes what is happening in there. It says, it must be me, but it's not just this person, that person, or the other. It's not just Facebook, but in school I get the same message. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's not worth living on this earth. So the impact is tremendous.
When they hear it long enough, they start believing.
Oh, yes. And not only, even if they fight it, if they live in a world, everything is interconnected, okay? If you have parents who are not connected with their teenagers, and that's not difficult to do because parents are busy. Nowadays, very few kids have mom at home. And those are, well, it could be good, it could be bad, but if mom is a good mother, is one that worries about you or takes care of things and go to school to help you, then that child needs to know that they can go to their mother and say, Mom, I'm having this problem in school. I need you to help me. And I have to tell you, Matthew, and I hope you get that in. There are parents that go to school and say, my child is being bullied. This is what's happening. And the school do not do anything. And I'm saying, you go with that information. If you have to copy what your child is receiving, you go to the school with that. They don't listen to you. You go beyond that school into the district. And if that no, the district. For instance, you have a school system, and each school reports to a region or a district. It could be...
In our case, it would be Miami-Dade.
Exactly. County. No, I'm talking about in Miami-Dade, you have different regions. Okay. I believe that yours is Region 6 or I don't know what they call it now. Okay? You go to the director of that school.
That specific region?
That's right. I went to the school. This is what happened. They haven't done anything. My child is very depressed. He doesn't want to go to school. I need you to help me. They are obligated to help you. And if they don't, you not only go to the school board, I would go directly to the police. Okay? Because there comes a time where the importance of helping your teenager is more important than anything that you could be doing.
I'd like to move on to something a little bit more specific, media and body image. Like you said, children can be affected by the media as early as they start, for example, watching TV.
Oh, yeah.
So as early as that, the media is affecting them as early as they start, for example, watching TV. But does that also start changing their perception of themselves?
Oh, definitely. And of course, you have to realize that there are children that are more vulnerable than others. I have had cases of little girls that are 5 or 6, and because of what they watch on TV, which really does not give you the image of the 5-year-old. It gives you the body of the 5-year-old, but dressed like if she was 15. That child starts wanting to buy clothes like that, or dress like that, or act like that, inappropriate behaviors in terms of very sexual behavior. No, with the teenagers, with a young girl, they start looking. I have had girls at 9 who are afraid they are too big, that they're fat, and they're not. The doctors say, no, you're not. But it doesn't matter. We have children that have become bulimic earlier and earlier. We have boys that are becoming bulimic, which it wasn't, or anorexic for that matter, more bulimic than anorexic. So the media determines the ideal look of a woman. And there's another factor that you're going to see. They want you to dress very sexy, but they expect you not to be sexual. Do you see the problem in somebody's mind? You're a teenager and you're watching all these magazines and this TV show, and they're very sexy looking, but you cannot act on that. So there is, as you say, a dichotomy. There is a conflict there.
What role does the media play in a teen's development of diseases such as eating disorders, depression?
Well, I think it's very clear that, to begin with, you're in the teenage years. Depression is one of the emotions that is more prevalent because they are comparing themselves to others. Am I too pretty? I have pimples. My legs are too big. You understand. Because of the teenage factor, the reality is that media does play an incredible play on that, role on that. For instance, I have noticed, at least on the Disney Channel, and I do watch it, I have grandkids and I'm on top of everything, that the majority of the programs are for, you have children in there that are acting like maybe adults, and the teenagers are acting like adults. There is a program where I don't understand where the parents are, but there is a brother and girls that live together, the sisters. So where are the parents? In other words, the impact on, and they are all thin. At least I have seen that they have incorporated different sexes and different races, which I think balances more. But when you see someone who's very heavy in a program and someone who looks tremendously sexy and young, who do you think they're going to copy?
The person who is sexy and young.
Exactly. So I think that it's going to be very difficult to move away from that. It has to be at home, where parents, like I do, I see the program, and I said to my grandson, I said, of all those people, who would you like to be like? First of all, it's going to give me an impression of where my grandson is. And so why do you like that person? Because of this, and that. And then if there's a flaw going on in the character, and you talk to him about it or her about it. The eating disorders, because of what I mentioned, the images are there. The depression, how to deal with depression, it's something that we need to take a look at. And I think the media needs to focus a little bit more on how do you deal with depression on a teenager. Why are you depressed? What is causing the depression? And deal with it on a program, because they do listen to the program. They do follow what the programs have to say. And you will see that many teachers do not understand how disrespectful the kids are in classrooms. But when you watch TV, the TV they watch, you see how the interaction is in the TV program that is in a classroom, how they are really disrespectful to the teacher. So,
and they think that's the way it should be, or that's the way it is.
That's right.
So you
because there's nobody at home telling them what should be.
Right. They need to look up to a parent to tell them how it should be. Yeah. And instead they're looking up to the media.
That's right.
When there's no parent to tell
them. There's no parent there. So that's what we're paying for.
So you mentioned about teens and even children looking up or looking at the media, at TV shows, at the actors on there, seeing that they're thin and believing that's the way it is, it should be, that they start seeing themselves too fat, that they should be as thin. What exactly is it that causes them to try so hard to be as thin as they are, up to the point that they start developing these eating disorders? Is it that they believe, since they're not the way they should be, the way the media portrays life to be, that they don't fit in, they won't be popular, they don't...
Well, they have that idea already, because when they are in school, you know if you're popular or not. And you didn't learn that from TV. You just know if you're considered a geek, if you have no friends, if when you go to the cafeteria nobody sits with you or they make fun of you, then you know you're not being part of the group. And there used to be in schools programs for social development, and no more. There's no money for that most of the time. And parents need to become aware that they have to work with their child on that. If you see a child that doesn't have any friends, start inviting some of his very close friends at home. And you do that since they're small. Do you have a good friend in school? You want us to invite him to the movies? I'll go and pick him up. I'll talk to the mother. In other words, parents should be responsible for part of the social life. There are kids that don't need the parents to do that. But I would say that there was something in that parent that pushed that child to be able to be social.
It helps them develop social skills.
Yes.
But apart from that, as I was saying, when they see these thin actors, why is it that they want to be like them? Because they feel that they should be?
Well, if they are on the TV show, someone selected them. They're very aware how TV chooses people to act. So this is what the brain is telling them. They are in that show. In fact, they are in other shows too. So then what was it that got that company to select them? Maybe that they sing, maybe that they're looking good. So they put together why were they chosen. And those are the characteristics that they feel spell success. And that's why they want to follow them. And there are psychological dysfunctions. People who would look at themselves in the mirror, like a lot of anorexics, and they're below their weight, and they look at the mirror and their image is not right. Even though it is less weight than necessary, they still see themselves as fat. And that's a psychological condition. And parents need to take them then to a specialist.
And they feel that they won't be successful.
Oh, no, they don't feel that they're successful at all.
So that's why basically they're looking at the media as something they should follow, as something they should
That's
copy.
the role model.
The role model.
The role model.
Now, we've been talking about general ways the media has been affecting teens, but is there a difference between how it affects guys compared to girls and vice versa?
Most of the studies that have been done, they do differentiate how boys have an impact different than girls. But that line has become more closer than before. It used to affect the girls most, but not anymore. It affects both boys and girls.
Like you said, more cases of guys becoming anorexic or bulimic.
Oh yeah, bulimic. Usually boys would go more for the bulimic. And the way the boys express their discomfort is by staying home, staying in their room, eating more, going more into internet, not developing the actual social friends, but just the media, which, I'm not saying that we haven't learned a lot from technology. I think we have. Facebook can be very good or can be very bad.
Depends on how you use it.
Exactly, and the amount of time that you use it. But if the only contact you have socially is through the internet, you have poor social skills. Because the persona that you are projecting in Facebook could be a lie. And you know that many of them, it's a lie. Is perhaps you're projecting what you would like to be, and you don't have a chance, or you haven't given yourself a chance to develop that persona with friends. Maybe you will make mistakes, but that's how you learn. That's how you learn to choose your friends, to have success socially with a group that you like. Or maybe says, maybe I'm picking up the wrong friends. Maybe I need to find something else. Facebook and all media that you work on sometimes gives you the false impression, not the real one.
Out of all the different types of media, would you say there's one that impacts teens negatively the most? Or
I would say Facebook.
Social networking sites in general?
Yes, in general.
What about TV shows or music? Or
the TV shows have an impact on them. But when you are watching a TV program, which I would hope is in the living room or the floor room or whatever you watch where parents are coming and going, there is an opportunity for that adult to tell you, hey, why aren't you watching? That's crazy. Or maybe not. And I say, hey, that's a good program. We've always had in the world bad images, bad role models. Just listen to Sleeping Beauty or any of those stories of childhood. They have a dark side to them, don't they? But if a parent is reading it to them and says, oh, that's a bad witch, or that's this and that's that, is the interaction with an adult that would give you the idea of what is right and what is wrong.
Parent interaction is important.
Say that again?
Parent interaction is important.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for being on this program. That'll be it for today.
Thank you so much, Matthew, and I hope that you continue to do this. This is something very necessary for the youth.
Remember, everyone, you can tune in on our program Mondays through Fridays at 9 a.m. Doctora Isabel, transmitted on Radio Cadena Univision. Until next time.